Hey, Ken, Priddy here. I want to welcome you to my recently acquired workshop space / studio down in the heart of Richmond. I've got plenty of room here to spread out and work on various projects. So I'm kind of excited to have this new space. I want to talk to you today about the Go Center. Now, the idea of the Go Center can be summarized in three things: migration, model, and multiplication. Migration. We all know that there's been a tremendous migration of PCUSA churches into the EPC over the last few years. And as far as the Mid-Atlantic Presbytery is concerned, probably 50 or more of those churches have come into this presbytery. This is a wonderful thing. I think it's going to bear fruit for many decades to come, so I'm really excited about it. At the same time, it's created quite a workload for the Church Development Committee. Aside from the usual things that we do with church planting and revitalization, church vitalization, there's a lot else to do these days with examinations and evaluations and administration and going into churches and meeting with sessions to talk about what the EPC is all about. It involves installation services. The list goes on and on. So what we're going to do with the Go Center structurally is a bit of a division of labor, where the CDC proper will continue to deal with those kinds of things, while the Go Center will be dedicated strictly to church planting, church vitalization, and church revitalization. Now, when it comes to the model, I've worked in a framework like this before. I spent about 10 or 12 years working with an organization called the Church Multiplication Training Center. This was an organization that was founded inside of a district, the Western District of a denomination that I used to work with. Now, the idea of the CMTC was that it would provide training for the churches of that district. Now, when I got involved, it expanded from church planter training to training in revitalization. But it proved to be very effective over the years in working inside that district. Now, what happened as time went on is that other districts found out about it and wanted to send their guys over for training. And so it became an entity that served the entire denomination by working with districts all over the country, sort of a horizontal district to district kind of relationship. Now, in our context, the presbytery is the regional group, and of course the Go Center will be primarily working with projects that we're doing inside of the PMA. But we're also going to go horizontally, which is really how to get anything done in the EPC, and provide this resource for other presbyteries. And I've seen this model work before. I know that it would work in this case. Now, that brings me to the idea of multiplication. You see, as we make the Go Center available to other presbyteries, we're going to see the ability of the EPC to plant churches and to revitalize churches really grow. Now, this multiplication is already beginning. I've heard from the Presbytery of the Alleghenies. They're looking at hosting 3 or 4 events next year through the Go Center. The Presbytery of the East just contacted me this week with an invitation to come up there and do a workshop for them at an upcoming Presbytery meeting. There's a startling statistic that I just became aware of a few days ago from Jeff Jeremiah. The EPC has 35% of its churches in a growth mode. This is just according to attendance. 35% are growing, 25% are flat or plateaued, and 40% are in decline. So when you add that together, 65% of the EPC's churches are in plateau or decline. Now, the Go Center will be positioned to work with that dynamic. The last 2 years, I have served with the Revitalization Task Force, which was formed by the National Outreach Committee. And we have been addressing the question of revitalization in the EPC. And this task force is very excited about the prospects of having something like the Go Center as a denominational resource. Now, one other dynamic in terms of multiplication is that we all know that sooner or later, as our presbytery continues to grow, there will come a need at some point to multiply, to become 2 presbyteries, maybe 3 presbyteries. Who knows what this might look like 10 or 15 years from now? Well, with the Go Center in place, we already have a training center that is equipped to move across presbytery borders to provide ministry. So we should be in really good shape in terms of planting churches, bringing vitality to churches, and revitalizing churches. Now, one more thing in regard to multiplication on a personal note. I've reached a point in my ministry life that I'm ready to pour into the next generation of leaders, training them, teaching them, consulting with them, and how to do the things that I now do. I've been 30 years in developing this ministry, and honestly, I don't want to carry this to my grave. I want to spend significant time in the remaining years of my ministry raising up next generation leaders. There will always be opportunities for church planting. There will always be the need to bring vitality and revitalization to churches. That's what the Go Center is all about. Migration, model, multiplication. Thanks.